Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? It is a new day, it is a new week, and it's time to get social. My name is Kavana, and welcome to the Introverts Social Hour. Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? Same. Whether you're juggling work, side projects, or just trying to keep life organized, Passion Planner is the perfect tool to help you prioritize what matters, make time for yourself, and live with intention. I've been using Passion Planner since my freshman year of college, and to this day, it still helps me map out my goals while keeping life a little less chaotic. It's more than just a planner, it's a space to reflect, refocus, and take control of your time. Whether you're a bullet journal pro or just starting your planner journey, there's truly a passion planner for everyone. I especially love the weekly medium size Sunday start, but if you're a Monday start lover, I am not judging you and I love that for you. You have so many options. Go ahead and get 10% off at passionplanner.com using my code KAVANA27. Once again, that's my code KAVANA27 to get 10% off at passionplanner.com. Join the Pash fam today and start planning with a purpose. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Introvert Social Hour. Today we are talking about guilty pleasures. So, like when it comes to guilty pleasures, sometimes it's the idea of like, oh, I'm indulging in this and oh, I'm kind of like ashamed about it, or maybe it looks bad, et cetera, et cetera. But it really is, like sometimes things are labeled as guilty pleasure. You don't have to necessarily feel guilty about like go ahead, eat that slice of cake, watch that show
Mhm.
that you really love. So we're really just going to talk about it very much more in a light sense because like we're probably not really guilty about it, but it's probably labeled as a guilty pleasure. But today I brought my friend Sabrina to talk about all of our fun things, whether it's like TV, movies, books, et cetera, et cetera. Because there's so many like genres of guilty pleasures, so I'm just very excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, First thing I would say was technically by definition. So guilty pleasure is something you indulge in even though part of you believes you might be judged for it, that it's bad for you or that it's pointless and without purpose. So I guess I think of the idea of like without purpose as well. It's like okay, but like does everything need to necessarily have like a
Mhm.
purpose also?
Yeah.
It's something to think about. But what do you think about guilty pleasure, Sabrina?
I think that they they're part of a cycle. So I think as time goes on, there are certain things that are labeled as like, ooh, you like this is kind of interesting. So then if you do like it, you feel like it is a guilty pleasure, like, oh, I know people have like terrible thoughts on this, but that's a cycle. It never really stays constant. So
True.
that it can kind of change. And I also feel like a lot of, like you said, a lot of guilty pleasures, you might start being like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that I like this. But then eventually you're just like, no, this brings me joy and I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't care if people know that I like this or not. So I think
Mhm.
it's cycles in like society as well as like that cycle with you of like that
Yeah.
eventual development of like, nah, I like this.
Mhm. That's actually I
Yeah.
didn't even think about the cycles of society, but that's so true. When you
Mhm.
said that, my brain immediately went to like Glee. Because like, there's a certain point where people like liking Glee was very like nerdy, quote unquote.
Oh,
So like,
yeah.
but now we look back and it's like, oh, you were watching Glee? Oh snap, I was
Mhm.
watching Glee too. So it
Mhm.
became like, less of a guilty pleasure. I mean, Glee's still chaotic in a sense, but people still appreciate it for like how they grew up with it.
Yeah. I mean, they even have an episode about guilty pleasures.
Yes. See, you would remember more
Yeah.
because
Yes.
of Sandra.
I was in a household where the whole show was watched twice in one summer.
Yeah, in a way. I literally have not watched Glee
Yes.
since it existed, and I don't think I could go back to it. That's the thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah.
I
But
also
fun
don't think of
fact,
it. Mm-mm.
I,
What?
I was gonna say, I feel like I've told you these. I cried when Finn and Rachel broke up, and I
Yes.
cried when they sung "I Lived" by One Republic, and I think that was their last.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the two
Yeah.
ballers. But crying when Finn and Rachel broke up was like wild. But once again, team.
Yeah.
Yeah, a fun moment. Um, so I am curious in regards to like continuation with TV and stuff. What's the first guilty pleasure TV show that comes to your mind? So mine was kind of Glee in a sense, but I don't know. I'm curious. Do you have any?
I mean, I think like for me in the aspect of because it's not seen as like super like good all
Hmm.
the time, I think The
Hmm.
Vampire Diaries is one of them. Like I feel like no,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no, I ate up the show. I
Hmm.
watched it so quickly.
So
But
good.
I think because of the just like the association with guilty pleasures is also, like, it might not be the best, but you still like it anyways.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's gone through, and that's one of the biggest ones for me is I'm like, "I understand the show kinda is not good at all, but am
That
I
yeah.
here for every second of this terrible drama with these really stupid characters?"
Mhm.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
No, I give you credit for that one. Um, what a time period. You know I love
Yeah.
Vampires Down. Um, I would say, in similar concept, and I think it's literally just because, like, vampires and, like, like, there was a point where they had a phase, but in that phase, it was, like, not cool, but
Mhm.
also cool. I don't know how to explain that one, that weird mix.
Yep.
There's a point where I watched True Blood and, like, enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, "This
Yeah.
is good drama." Yeah. But it was really cheesy, like, very cheesier than The Vampire Diaries, I would say, like,
Yeah, it's also
cringe.
it's like it's yeah, it's an older kinda cheesy too.
Yeah, mhm.
So, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
'Cause I
yeah.
look back and I'm like, "Girl," um, but that would be the one. I couldn't think of any other, like because like I said, like we talked about, like, to
Mhm.
be guilty of it is the thing, but I
Yeah.
think of, like, cheesy, cringy in a
No.
way. Hmm. Maybe like a '90s or, like, early 2000s show. I was almost gonna say Buffy, but I love Buffy
I
down.
also kinda had the thought process of Buffy, but I was like,
Mhm.
"Nah, I can't see that." Like, I
Yeah.
purposefully sought that one out and was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, mine would also probably have to be, like, law procedurals, like, any kind of, like,
Oh,
crime or
yeah.
law procedural." I was
Mhm.
raised in a
That's
house
a
where
fair
we
one.
watched NCIS all the time, where
Mhm.
we watched, like, I found Bones at, like, a
I love
relatively
Bones.
younger age.
Yeah.
Um, I've, like,
The
seen
Criminal
so
Minds?
Criminal
Yeah.
Minds, yeah, that one was
Yeah.
older, but yeah,
Yeah.
all of Criminal Minds, like, all of those, I eat them up. I will sit down and watch a
Mhm.
crime show or a cop oh my god, Castle?
Oh, see, I never got into that.
I love Castle so much, and I was in it because I was just like,
Mhm.
"Listen, you 2 are love you're in love. You're in
Yeah.
love." Because that was the, like, the movement of one of them's a little bit more like, it's a Grumpy Sunshine. It was a Grumpy
Mhm.
Sunshine partners slow burn
Yeah.
because Lord knows it's gonna take them at least 8 seasons to get together.
Yeah.
Um, and
Just like
so, like
Bones. Yeah.
but Bones, we didn't even get the satisfaction of seeing them get together. I will forever say that was a terrible
Yeah. That was a bad call.
Ooh,
That was a bad
it
call.
upsets me. It upsets
Yeah,
me so much.
that is
Um,
true.
there's those. I love those. And then for me also,
Mm.
not a guilty pleasure, but something that like goes back to what I said, anime. I don't know if for you, but I remember when we
Mm.
were growing up, like in high school, that was something that was very much like,
L
unfortunately, it was like, ooh, the really nerdy, weird kids
It
watching
was.
anime, and that's it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so like that was the association. And I'm not gonna lie, I was also kind of like, oh well, if everyone's
Mm.
saying this, then sure, because I was
Yeah.
not thinking anywhere deep about any of that stuff.
Mhm.
And then in college, I got introduced to like a few of them. And this was like end of college. And I was like, wait a minute, these are really good. This is really fun. And I was like, I don't mind reading subtitles because Lord knows
Mhm.
you're not going to catch me listening to a dubbed version of anime.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was a huge one, and then
Mhm.
sometime in college, it became cool. It was like,
Mhm.
"Actually, no, if you like it, that's fine." Um,
Yeah. I
but that
love
goes both
the
ways.
trajectory of that because not even just for our generation, but I remember, like, we did, like, a fun, like, trivia day in one of our classes for our students because it was just, like,
Mhm.
a free time day. We had to, like, push into class once, and they were all about anime, like, these middle schoolers, like, most of the class knew all of these, like, anime characters and, like, stuff, and I was like, "This, like, made my heart warm because I was like, "This is so cool," especially, um, being black, that was also something that was, like, more specifically, like, you're watching anime, like, you're a nerd, like, the kind of things like that. I'm not an anime girly, I just couldn't get into it, but, like, seeing, like, all of, like, these, basically a whole classroom full of black kids nerding out over anime and just it was just, like, so cute to watch, even though they be getting
Mhm.
on my nerves. They were getting on my nerves, but they were just like I was like, "They know all these characters and all this stuff," and I was like, "That's so interesting, like, that's so funny." How, like, it literally is trend based. Like,
Yep.
so that's why it's just when it comes to like guilty pleasures and just general things, like just do what you want because
Yeah.
everything that's cool or not cool, that will phase in or out at any point in time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really will. I wonder if we'll ever go back to a point where it's, like, no longer considered cool again, or if it's just here.
Hmm. I
Because I
don't
think
think
it just has so
so.
much movement. It has
Yeah.
so much movement.
I think it's too I think it's come to a recognition that it's like it's actually a cool thing. Like not cool in the sense of like, oh, it's trendy, but like it's actually good. So
Yeah.
people are like, no, like it's good. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna appreciate it. Kind of similar to like Crocs. Total like 180 for a second. I know, Sabrina,
You
but
know my opinion on
I
Crocs.
know. But when I was a kid, Crocs were not cool.
Yeah.
Like they were not a vibe. And then people started wearing them like, wait, these are comfortable. Let me
Yep.
jazz them up, put some gibbets on it. And then now everybody's wearing Crocs. I remember Crocs were like, ugh, when I was a
Yep.
kid. Everybody wears Crocs now. So it's just funny.
Yeah.
Um, but it goes back to like why people could feel guilty about like, their guilty pleasures.
Mhm.
And some of those could be like societal expectations, like we said, whether it's like personal beliefs or standards, um, even maybe like health and fitness narratives when it comes to like food and stuff.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
fear of judgment, which is another
Yep.
thing. And then like self-discipline goals, self-improvement, etc. Um, but yeah, no, I'm glad we mentioned that because it's such an up and down kind of topic. What about movies? I'm curious. Like, what movies stand out to you as guilty pleasures? I feel like usually this goes to the ones that probably aren't like critically acclaimed
Yeah.
masterpieces. You know.
Um, so going back to what you said about Glee and how I mentioned the episode, the only thing I remember from that episode is that at the end, they're like, "We're gonna bring out the biggest guilty pleasure of all," and they whip out Mamma Mia, and I'm like, "Excuse me, excuse me." I was so angry when that happened. I was like, "No," and my sister goes, "It's because it's not really good," and I was like, "This is false.
um,
This is a lie." I was like, "No." I adore Mamma Mia. I love it
yeah,
so, so, so much. Um, it's incredible. It's so good. But like that's one where I know a lot of people are like, "This is not very." Mm-mm. And I'm just like, listen,
yeah,
it's fantastic. They were all having such a great time filming this, and you can see it in all of the movie. Who cares if they can't really sing? I don't.
right,
One of the few ones where I'm like, I don't care.
yeah,
Um, and then like I guess like the Twilight movies are probably one of them too, where
mm-hmm.
it's just like because they're just so bad that they're good.
They really are. I mean,
They're so good.
yeah, it's so funny because I brought up Twilight because I was talking about like highlights of the week or the month,
Mhm.
and I was like, one of the mine was like, building the Twilight Lego set
Yes.
with my friends. Like, I was like, they're like Twilight. Oh, interesting. And what's so funny is that's why it's like guilty pleasures are like not guilty for me because I was like, you're not about to make me feel bad about liking Twilight.
Uh, yep.
Like,
Yep.
sorry that I have been a Twilight girly since middle school. It's been over a decade at this point. And when I say
Yeah.
since middle school, probably more so like late elementary,
I was
actually,
gonna
now
say
I'm thinking.
probably like
Yeah.
4th, 5th grade.
Yeah, I was gonna say late elementary because I remember watching the Twilight movie and then starting to read the rest of the books before New Moon even came out. So,
Oh,
yeah. So, it definitely was I think
you're
was
almost
elementary.
A1.
Yeah, almost. For me, the vampire stories are always really backwards for me. Same thing with the Vampire Diaries. The first season was already out.
Mhm.
Also early elementary now that I'm thinking about it. See, this whole time
Ivana.
I know I should not.
Ivana.
Hey, listen, 44 cable 12.
I
That's
know.
what,
I know.
that's what popped up. And I was like, I'm intrigued. Um, people were talking about it already though. I just didn't
Yeah.
have cable. So then, you know how in the summer they don't air any shows, so they just do all these reruns, and I caught it. And so I kind of like low key caught up on the first season for
Mm,
what episodes I could catch, and then I was around for, and then I knew what time it dropped to watch it at the proper time
yeah.
to stay on top of season two. That is actually wild. No, what's funny? So side notes. I was thinking so I watched School Spirits. I don't know if you've heard about that show
Yeah,
on
I've seen the
Paramount Plus?
first season. I'm waiting for
Okay,
all of season 2 so that I can just go.
got you. Okay, so low key spoiler alert,
I kind of
not too
get
much.
spoiled on TikTok a little bit.
Oh, okay. So
Try to avoid,
basically,
but
two of the characters bow chicka wow wow, right?
yes,
And so
yes.
we knew it was happening, and then they go to another scene, and I'm like, okay, cool, bet, like regular teen show. We go back to them. Why do I get a full snapshot of Milo's butt cheeks on my screen? And I'm
Yep.
like, this is supposed to be a kid show. Not a kid show, a
No,
teen
it's
show.
not.
A teen show, not a kid show. A
So
teen
yes,
show.
yes.
And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And I was like, "Wait, Kavana, you have to pause. You're giving very, very older adult right now. You were
Gasp.
watching." Yeah, I was like, "You were watching Vampire Diaries. You have seen Ian Somerhalder his butt cheeks as well." I was like,
Yes.
"Unfortunately, this is what teen shows are." But I was just like, "Oh my gosh." They shouldn't be though. We should
No.
not be seeing butt cheeks. But
No, we should not.
teen shows, and I think I've talked about this on TikTok before. Teen shows are no longer teen shows. Kids don't really have
No.
anything to watch as kids anymore. It's really hard. So you have to think like this is probably why they're advancing so much, and they can't like kids can't be kids and teens can't be teens anymore, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think if even if the actors are adults, if it is set in high school, you can imply as much as you want because
Right.
obviously stuff happens. But
Yeah.
I should not be seeing anything pertaining to
Right.
a supposedly under 18 or 18-year
Yeah.
old.
That's why I was like, okay, so I wasn't crazy. I was like,
Well, I'm with you. I'm 100% with
like,
you. Like I'm like, yeah, obviously stuff happens because I know people are like,
mhm.
"Well, that's not like authentic." And I'm like, "Nah, listen, we don't need to see
We
it."
don't need to see it. We understood the concept when they do the kissy kissy and then the screen fades and we're into another area of the show. That's perfect. We get it. We get the concept.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see his butt cheeks.
No, and that's the thing. I'm like, yeah, he's a grown adult, so he can make these decisions. But we're operating on the understanding that he is
It's a
high
teen
school.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a ghost, so it's weird
Yeah.
territory. But
Mhm.
like, nah, that's supposed to be a teenager. That's supposed to be a 17-year-old.
Mhm. Yeah, I
And
was like, they could have
not
had a little
necessarily.
blanket on top or something like we just like
Yeah.
she had a blanket on
Exactly.
top.
Yeah. No,
They that was a very intentional choice. I just think that they need to start considering their audience.
that was apparently part of like their like puzzle package. Like they sent little like
Puzzle
puzzle like
package?
clues and stuff to a group
Uh-huh.
of people where they were like,
Oh.
we're gonna give you like hints to things, and so they sent a protein pancake mix that said
Mhm.
butt naked on it. That was
Oh.
their clue for this past episode
Yeah. Here's
because
my
they also
sorry, I know we kind of completely
I
started
know.
off topic.
This is what happens with us though. This
Yeah.
is what happens.
My thing is, if you want to market to, Milo's peeps, because Milo's a whole adult and they know Milo has fans and
Oh
for
yes.
example, whoever those fans are apparently want to see his butt cheeks. So they're like, hey, look, we got Milo's butt cheeks. I think put Milo on a show that isn't catered to also teenagers.
Yes. Yes.
um I can because it's like we had to experience that, but I think we didn't realize that because we were teens. Like
Yeah.
realizing, like, hey, this shouldn't be what we're seeing. But
Mhm.
now that like we're adults, it's just like, hey, y'all gotta chillax. But that makes sense though because I remember I'll never forget. My mom was like, I was trying to watch like Degrassi for the first time, and but it was like in the living room, and I was like, okay, people are talking about it. Let me see what it's about. And I remember
Mhm.
I turned it on. My mom heard what they were talking about. She's like, no, you cannot watch the show.
Yeah.
And
I
so
was
I never
thinking
watched Degrassi.
into my head with TV, but I was like,
Mm,
I never saw it.
no, never. So, but somehow I got through. But Vampire Diaries, that was when I had my own little box TV in my room.
Yes.
So I was watching. But yeah, sorry, side note. That was what had been going through my mind lately because I just watched the episode yesterday and I remember because you know how I am when I get surprised by shit. I'm like, what is going on?
It's some of the funnest times is when we're watching a movie for the first time and it's just butt and you go, "Whoa."
Right. Like they're so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
If you started off, I say I'm gonna go on a tangent. Which is gonna come.
Listen, I will never forget, like, in one of the X-Men movies, I'm out here, like, not
Mhm,
expecting anything because it was, like, not, like, it was one of the newer ones, and
mhm.
then out of nowhere, we just see, like, Hugh Jackman's butt, and I'm like, "Listen, I've seen this man's butt a little too many times.
Right.
Why?" It's Hugh Jackman. Yes, I understand.
Mm-mm.
Why?
No reason at this point. It just yeah. Because I imagine also Tom. How many times have we seen Tom's butt cheeks on Lucifer? Like,
Oh, yeah, you're right. I just kind of
yeah.
forgot. But that one I feel like makes more sense character-wise.
It 100% does. But there
Yeah.
was a certain point though, they just started doing how many butt cheeks can we get onto the season?
I
That ends
guess.
up starting to be more of an inside joke for them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessary at a certain
Yeah.
point. Um, but yeah, no, that one's more fair, less surprising because
Mhm.
they've already set the tone. There was no
Yeah.
tone set for School Spirits because there should not be a tone set for that.
No. No.
But, I'm just gonna keep moving forward because we already we've already talked about it for too long. Um, from movies, so you're saying Mamma Mia.
I'm
I
saying, like, I know it's one of those classified, but like you
mm,
said, no one can ever make me feel bad for it. No one can ever make
100%.
me feel bad for Twilight.
Yeah. Do you have any like cult classics like that were like not cool at a certain point, but they're still appreciated to this day? Like examples,
No,
Death Becomes Her, or like Rocky Horror Picture Show. What other like Craft? Uh,
I feel like
yeah.
I guess because I don't know too much of like how they were received at the time.
Hmm.
That for me, I never like because I really like Death Becomes Her, but I would have
Yeah.
never thought like I just would be like, this is just a niche group for like people who actually
Hmm.
saw it, but I don't know how many people actually saw it.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I am not a fan of Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's not one of the ones that
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
like too much, even though Cassandra
Yeah.
loves it.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I can't think of. And again, it's because like I just don't know
Hmm.
if they were received in a certain way. I just came across them on my own and was kind of like
Yeah.
this. But those two are some of the bigger ones where I'm like, I know people have strong feelings about them,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I don't care. I could
Yeah.
couldn't care less.
No, that's so funny. For me, in regards to cult classics, the telltale sign is usually like when you talk about niche.
Mhm,
That's when you know it's like, okay, people weren't vibing with this, but it's still popular enough that it's spread
mhm.
around, but it's not big. Like it's not big even to this day. It's you have to find it. Um, Heathers. I actually enjoyed Heathers.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Um, but I wouldn't say it's like a guilty pleasure necessarily of mine because I don't
Mhm.
love it. I don't like love it down. Um, as far as movies go, technically, the guilty pleasure would be romances. I'm putting quotes for people who are listening. Romances and
When we get to
rom-coms.
books, this is gonna be a big discussion.
I know, that's why it's next. That's why I was like, "Let me finish movies so we could go on to that." But, um, I I don't feel guilty about that because I purely enjoy it.
Mhm,
I love I love stories of love, and I love stories of love with, like, a hint of comedy. Sometimes I'll do a drama if I'm ready to cry my eyes out. Um, I From Scratch is the first one that always comes to my brain, which is disrespectful. That's where Zoe Saldana should have got some awards, by the way.
I agree, I agree.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not gonna talk about that right now, but that's all I'm saying. But yeah, as far as movies go, maybe like let's say The Wedding Planner because it
Yeah,
wasn't highly recepted. People thought it was like even extra extra cheesy for a rom-com.
you're not gonna throw out Something Borrowed or whatever that horrendous thing is called?
Yeah. Listen, there's so many good lines. Cause when she falls, he's like, uh, she's like, you smell like sugar plums and grilled cheese sandwiches. Like that's cringy, but I
Yeah,
love it. I'm here for it all.
so good. It's so
Yeah.
good. I love the M&Ms.
Yeah, I was just about to say the throwing out the M&M. Yeah, so good. So I don't know, but yeah, people would definitely watch and be like, "Kivana, you like this movie?" Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the JLo rom-coms have that with them
Ye-
too, because I feel like
well,
people would say the
yeah.
same with Made in
Mhm.
Manhattan as well.
I wouldn't think as much though, because I think people take Made in Manhattan a little bit more seriously.
Do you think it's Ralph,
It
however
might be Rafe. Yeah. No, I
Both
found out. Yeah, it might be Rafe. Yeah,
Mhm.
and also because the storyline is a bit more serious, it has a
Yeah,
little
I
bit
guess so.
more, like, intention, not saying the wedding planner didn't, but the wedding planner was purposely goofy, it's like, "I'm a
Yes.
wedding planner, and I haven't found love yet." It's very, like,
Very
flowery.
quintessential, like, this is the plot of a
Mhm.
person who's in this business, but is so in this business. It's same like 27 Dresses kind of situation. That
100%.
was very big at the time of,
Mhm.
like, I know all these things and I have all these things, but
Mm.
it's never happened for me, or
Yeah.
I'm still holding out kind of thing for that.
Mhm. What she says, like, "Those who can't do, teach," or something like that, or "Those who
Yep,
can't do, plan," I think is what she says.
yep.
So, yeah. Um, moving on to books because I know this is gonna so fun fact, the block is 15 minutes. I already know it's not gonna be 15 minutes of time. So books are often seen as more serious sometimes, but we have all those novels that we can't put down, even though they might be cheesy or even sometimes a bit trashy, you know? Um, do you have any guilty pleasure books? um, you know, there are guilty pleasure books out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I
I'm
just reread
immediately
one.
gonna throw it out. Wattpadian novels, and I think I'm the only person who
Plus,
said yeah,
I just
immediately.
reread it,
Oh, see.
and I'm so excited for the sequel. It got officially announced for October. I'm so ready.
Hey.
Um, yeah, anything Wattpad-ish. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly where my brain goes, is, like,
Mhm.
Wattpad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so funny. I haven't actually been on Wattpad in a minute, but, like, that is a part of my grow up. Like, I was reading
Yes.
Wattpad, but there was no Libby, I didn't have always access to, like, libraries. Um, you know, my library in high school was fire. My library in middle school ended up being good too at some point, but, like, sometimes you just wanna, like, to read a book on your phone,
Yep.
and yeah, Wattpad was there. Death Is My BFF? I guess
I
maybe
know.
that would be it. Maybe that would be, like, my first book, but that's still Wattpad novel, but yeah.
Yep. I, I still I talk about all the time. There was a series on there that was about a band. It was all about, like, it was very much probably like a One Direction inspired band, but they were
Mhm,
guys from all over the world who were brought in. They were called Central Perks.
mhm.
Um, and the first one was Blind Attraction. The second one I think was Fatal
Yes,
Attraction. There was
so
one that was like Artificial Attraction, and it was fantastic. They were so good. I ate them up. I had them saved. I was rereading them often, and then she took them down. And then she tried to bring them back because she was like, I wrote this when I was like 13, 14, so I want to try again. And I'm like, no, no, because now you're bitter because that's what happens to all of us. And it's not the
yeah,
same. Now it's more like it was a lot more like real and like rooted in reality. And the like
mhm.
the main character, the main female character, I was just like, I'm so sad because now it's gone forever and I will never find it again.
I wish we've talked about this, I know we have, but I wish she would've left it for you, just like how Kat
I
did for
know.
Death Is My BFF, just because, like, Kat was aware, she was like, I know you love the original, so I'm gonna leave the original there, but just know I'm rewriting it, here's the rewritten version, and then there's, like, 3 versions of Death Is My BFF at this point. The official published copy, and then, like, the rewritten version, and then the original. Um,
Yep.
yeah, no, I feel that. I also really love from Wattpad and this one, though, I really do think it should've just been a published novel, I just think things didn't work out in the cards for him. And then also, he had to do some self-publishing, but the Storm and Silence series
I
by
knew you
Robert
were gonna say
Greer,
Storm of Silence. I
it's
knew it.
so
It's
good.
so good.
Like,
It's
what?
so good.
People would eat that up if they knew more about it, I promise you.
Absolutely.
Like, I love a good and that's why I was like, that's not even a guilty pleasure because like, I just know that would just eat. Just people just
It
don't
would.
have access to it.
And it's a genuine like, it is a genuine enemies to lovers
Yeah,
and slow burn, like it is.
it's a
They
slow
don't
burn.
like each other in
Yeah.
the slightest.
Mhm.
They don't what have anything remotely romantic happen until what, book 5?
When listen, the closest you get for a certain amount of time is them, like, almost kissing, and then they don't kiss. Or, like, they're just up in each other's face and they're realizing their attraction, but then they're like, "No, absolutely not."
Yep.
Yeah, I would say it's earlier than book 5, but they don't admit
That's yeah.
anything
I
until
meant I
later.
meant, like, intentionally
Oh,
romantic.
yeah, mhm.
Yeah.
So
Because
there's
you're
a
right.
kiss here at some point, things like
Oh,
that, but yeah.
But
Mhm.
it's also really good because, like, even those moments, like you were saying, where they, like,
Mhm.
got close to each other and they were like, "Wait a minute." They were still like, "Nah, I can't stand this person. I'm not
Yeah.
doing this." It was
Mhm.
it was the genuine transition that
Yeah.
happens with spending
Mhm.
time with people and things like that. It's so good.
Best slow
I knew
burn
you were gonna say
ever.
that.
Best
I
slow burn.
knew you were gonna say that one.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. People usually hear Wattpad and they're like, "What?" So that is
Oh,
definitely one that's like societal guilty pleasure pressure. Um, I think that would be the main one, yeah. And I guess
yeah.
depending on what you read on Wattpad too. 'Cause
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, I was out here
Mhm.
reading those, like, werewolf books.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I ate those up.
Yeah, mhm. Some
I
of the vampire
that
ones
was
too. I couldn't tell you what they were though, but yeah.
There were a few, there were very
Mhm.
I've always been more werewolf than vampire, like, that's
Mhm.
where I lean,
Yeah.
so I read a lot of the werewolf ones. That's why Bride, like,
Pride is fire. That I
God,
guess technically would be a guilty pleasure because but the thing is though, so it's so funny. This period of time we're in is very, like, smut focused. So in a
yes.
certain way, it's not a guilty pleasure anymore, but also, like, sometimes a book is just good, and it's not because it has smut in it, the smut is, like, a bonus for some
Well,
people. I don't know.
so here's the thing, though.
Mhm.
It's within the reading community that it's accepted, because I
Very
have
true.
many people in my life who are not in the reading community, and there are many comments. I'm speaking specifically about my sister and Andrew. A lot of comments of me like, "Oh, well, she reads smut," or like, "Oh, well, it's this and that."
Yeah.
And it's just like people don't like super know. And like I've informed them, and now it's just a joke. But I'm like, there's a lot of
Mhm.
people who are not like readers, or not in like any kind of spheres where it's just conversations about books, where they're still
That's
kind of
true.
like, "You're telling me you're reading that in like an open space?" I'm like, "Pfft, yeah, I'm reading this like on the airplane.
Yeah.
I'm just reading whatever I want on the
Mhm.
airplane. If
Yeah.
someone looks over my shoulder, that's their problem, not mine."
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
So funny.
but it's still one of those things where it's just kind of like, listen, here it is. And like you said with movies, my number one genre for the last 4 years, it used to be when I was growing up, it was fantasy, hands down fantasy. Whether it had
Yeah.
romance, whether it didn't matter. It was fantasy.
Mhm.
In the last 4 or 5 years, it's romance.
Yeah. I mean, I have a curiosity question about that. Do you think it's because there's less fantasy movies around? Do you think fantasy could possibly take the place
I
again?
I think it's because I've become a little bit more critical of world building.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the big ones, is that if the world itself does not draw me in, I'm less likely to go in. Um, and like I think it's because there's a lot less easier access to figure out like genuine fantasy
Mm.
releases.
Yeah.
Lately, all that's been, and again, it's because I read a lot of romance. A lot of what I've been sent is a lot of romantasy. And in a
Yeah.
romantasy, the fantasy is not the primary concern.
Depending on the book, some of
I
them
know,
yeah.
but you cannot convince me that Sarah J. Maas really knows what's going on in ACOTAR.
We're not talking about Sarah J. Because Sarah
Yes.
J. definitely did like, that's what I'm saying.
And and
It
I think our
it's
girly
gonna
is potentially losing the plot with our
oh,
dragons.
we know that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
like,
immediately
I'm
out of the
like,
conversation as far as, like, we know hands down from the beginning, her world building was a good start, but
yeah.
we knew and I know myself because I know what keeps me there. I'm still reading Onyx Storm, by the way.
I know.
Um, what keeps me there is the fact that I love how she wrote Xaden and Violet's relationship.
Yes.
She's got about 500 other characters I can't remember the connections about, but I
Yes.
know, like, whatever's happening here is, like, what I'm looking for as the end goal, like, does their
Yeah.
love sustain all of the stuff they're going through? So I know for me, yes, it's a romantasy, but it is a romance that happens to have fantasy in it at this
Yeah,
point.
and that's the thing. It's like a lot of them are like that. I think one of the last like really good fantasies, it's The
Yeah.
Big Boy. The Priory of the Orange Tree, I think is what it's called. That one was very good.
It's
It
sitting
had
on my
like little
shelf.
whispers things here. But like that's a dedication, and I think that's what makes people like hesitant to read those too, is just like they're usually really big because you have to
Yeah.
do a lot of work to set up
Mhm.
worlds that make sense.
Yeah.
Um, but
And that one's just a flat fantasy? Or is it a fantasy that has romance?
It's got, like, little moments here and there, but that's
Gotcha.
not the primary focus. It's just, like, life how life has hints of
Yeah.
romance here and there, hints of
Mhm.
this here and there, but
Makes sense.
it's a fantasy.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Um, but no, going back to the romance is, like, that's also like, and a lot of books talk about that too, how, like, women's fiction is a category. How
Ah.
there's a specific category when you talk to certain people, they'll call, like, romance and things like that, like, that's
Mhm.
not literary fiction, it's women's fiction.
Mm. Got it.
Now it's mostly called romance, but it's that whole idea of it's not high literature or it's not, like, literature that's worth taking your time, and I'm just like, "Yeah, but
Mm.
sometimes you just want the, like, really nice things." And if
Yeah.
it's a romance, this is a discussion in the romance community, is like, a
Mhm.
romance typically, if it's just romance,
Mhm.
the agreement is that it is a happy ending.
Yeah.
If it is a drama and a romance, that's where it's up in the air, but if it's just a
100%.
plain and simple romance, it's a happy ending.
Mhm. Especially
There's
if it's a
a
rom-com too, yeah.
exactly, like, that's why most of my romances will be rom-coms. I read
Mhm.
very few where I'm going to cry because 'cause I'm just
Yeah.
not here for it right now.
The,
Um,
um The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, that was, like that's
that one
mixed.
took me out. That
Yeah.
one took me out when I
Mhm.
recommend it to people because it's still one of my favorite reads ever.
Yeah.
I do tell them, I do go, hey, listen, it's rough." Like,
Mhm.
depending on who you are as a reader, it's rough. It was
Mhm.
rough. I had a, like, what's like, it's not like a food coma, it's like the
Mm.
opposite, where it's just like you just sit and you just can't let it go after you read one of those
Processing.
books, where
Mhm.
it just, like, sat with me for a whole day, and I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god,
Yeah. No, that was a
so
good one.
good."
Um,
That's what I know lots of people will be like, "Oh, reading romance, okay."
but here's the thing, and I think that's what I don't get, like and going back to if you read and you're in the reading community or not, from an outside perspective, they see, "Oh, you're reading romance, like, you're not reading proper, quote, unquote, literature. There's nothing you're gaining from it, etcetera, etcetera." That's so not the case. Some cases, yes, it's just funsies,
Yeah.
but quite honestly, me reading whatever I choose to read in rom-com or fantasy, not as much sci-fi anymore, and I just think it's hard to find now these days, new sci-fi,
Mhm.
dystopian novels, that used to be my jam. Um, I'm still catching new words. Like, to this day, I'm still like, "What was that? Let me go ahead and highlight that and get that in my Kindle, figure out"
Yeah.
you know? Like, I'm still catching new words, I'm still catching new discoveries in writing, because romances aren't just, like not all the time, these cheesy, goofy, silly basis. We're gonna go back, I know we talked about it yesterday, but, like, for example, Ashley Poston, her novels are, like, deep.
Yep.
Invisible, Life of Addie LaRue, that's a very deep storyline, like it's no different than what you would see in a romance, movie on film,
Mhm.
Um, because even though, for example, Ashley Poston's novels are technically, like, rom-commy based, they're actually more rom-drammy, I
Yep.
would say, because the way they make it look is very rom-com, but when you're reading it, you're like, "Wait, hold up."
Yep.
It's actually pretty serious. Um, so I don't know, I feel like I still gain so much knowledge from it, and I've only been reading I don't read self-help books like that. I don't read,
Yeah.
historical novel, like, that's not my jam, but I still learn so much and gain so much from reading, um, you
Well,
know, the funsy books throughout the years.
yeah, I think the funsy books are the ones that give you a good time, but also are, like, the ones, like you said, where you might find something, like,
Yeah.
Emily Henry's my girl. I love her.
Yes. Mhm.
And the first few books that I read of hers, I didn't feel like it didn't, like, reach into my soul and just, like, grab me. And
Mhm.
then she had Boom Boom, Book Lovers, and Happy Place, and I'm out here sobbing my eyes out because
Yeah.
Book Lovers is about sisterhood and
Mhm.
about, like, being that person who feels they have to do everything and have to have everything, like, set aside in all these plans. And then Happy
Yeah.
Place is about what happens to friendships in adulthood.
Mhm.
As, like, it comes out as we leave, like, college and we're, like, in the midst of, like, this early adulthood, and I
Yeah.
was just like, "I can't wait for a good time.
Right.
I'm having a great time, but it's a sad time."
Yeah, it's like, "Thanks." I think
Yeah, I was like, "Thanks for giving me something to, like, access all of these feelings, but also,
Yeah.
I just wanted people to fall in love. Thank you."
Mhm. Very life contemplating for sure.
Oh, for sure.
No, she's good at that. I also wanna give note to, like, for example, even in fantasy, for example, like, Legendborn, that series,
Yes.
you get a lot of, like, she ties in a lot of historical basis to it. Some things are more, fantasy tied and stuff like that, but the way she does it, that that makes your brain start thinking too. Even if it's
Yep.
not 100% accurate to real world, you could always be like, "Hmm, let me search that up." And I'm trying not to tell anything, but let me search that up and look more
Mhm.
into what the real story base is, and then you could even think about what the author was thinking when they decided to pull that concept and that external storyline into their story. This is just
Yep.
very intriguing. So I say don't sleep on a romance or a fantasy. And I actually do say I love in the reading community how like more people are starting to like pull in like guys and like their
Yes.
significant others into it because it's like no,
Yes.
y'all talk about it, try reading one, and then they actually end up enjoying it. So
Yep. Yippity yep.
yeah.
I also, just to throw it out there, Midnight Sun.
Yeah. I
Midnight
haven't read
Sun.
it yet.
God, I need you both to read it. I
I
need you both
know.
to
I
read it.
have it. It's sitting there.
It is
It's gonna
some
yeah.
of the worst ever, like, everything.
Mm,
It's so good. It's so
one day.
good.
Yeah.
Edward, there's no words to describe how angsty and oh woe is me that little
Yeah.
vampire is.
I know. I'm excited. I think for me, I'm like, okay, one, I think at this point I need to also get it like on Libby. So then when I'm not, at home reading it book
Yes.
book wise, I could actually read it on the train. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. I have so many books.
I know.
Man, I have so many books. But aren't you proud? I have not bought a singular book since December.
No, it's because Legos have taken priority.
Yes, Sabrina, but we did not have to point that out. That's still an achievement. Uh, um, we're gonna move on to music. So, I actually am curious. I feel like music is less guilty pleasure but I am curious if you have any like guilty
Yeah.
pleasure music, whether it's a genre or an artist, you know?
This is the only place where I'm still working my way through feeling like it is generally a guilty pleasure. The
Ooh.
only thing, like the
Mhm,
number one thing that popped into my brain when you mentioned
mhm.
this is specifically K-pop. I also like
Oh.
I am like, because there's so much. The world
Mhm.
is so much, and I always admire people who love things so passionately, because I am one with the
Yeah,
things that I but it's so much, and there's so much to it, and I'm still not at a point where I'm comfortable, like, being like, "Oh, yeah, I listen to this," or like, "Oh, yeah, I love this. I have, like, all of this." I'm not at that point yet, and I don't know if I will be ever
interesting.
to
Okay,
the
that was gonna
extent
be my question. I was gonna say I'm curious if you think you will get there.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know,
interesting.
and I can't explain it to you. And
Yeah, usually.
I think that's how I know for a fact that it is a guilty pleasure, because 'cause I'm just like, I can't. I
Mhm.
just can tell you, yes, but also I'm just
Yeah,
like, "My god, why do I like this thing?"
yeah. Oh, that's fair. That's a good one. I actually didn't know you felt that way about K-pop, but I think that's just because, like,
Yeah,
we
I'm
share
like,
everything.
it's
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll go on my
Just
full breakdowns, and I'll be like, "Look, Cassandra gave me this information. Here we go,
yeah.
and here we go, and here we go."
Like, "Here goes a Stray
Um,
Kids video, let's watch it."
yeah, I'll do
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And it's also specifically just that group. Like, it's
Yeah,
not anything else. There's nothing
exactly.
else. It's just that group. Um,
Yeah. Hmm,
but no, that's it.
okay.
Because I've never felt like, "Oh my god, I can't let people know I listen to this music. I'm out here blasting,
Yeah.
like, everything,
Seriously,
and I just have
musical
strong
theater.
opinions."
Musical
I've
classical
never,
musical.
not
Yeah.
once. And I think it's because I was raised like, literally the first thing I ever sang was a Grease song. Like, I
Mm.
think, like, because I grew up on Mary Poppins and Sound of Music and
Yeah.
all of these things, I'm just like, "No, that's just music." I didn't
Yeah.
realize that it wasn't until high school that I realized, like, there is the, "Ooh, theater kids," or like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, musical theater." Like, but I'm like, I don't feel anything. I've never, not
Yeah.
once.
No, and I also think it's so funny, I agree with that because, like, musical theater, like, that's actually a very big, like, category of music that people
Yep.
love. Like, it's not niche at all. Um,
Mm-mm.
I considered this one and I was like, I don't think I have a guilty pleasure music either. Um, because I pretty much stick to the same, like, popular music that everyone else listens to.
Mhm.
I kinda stick around, and if it's not popular, like, pop music, it's still music that's not, like, looked down upon, or I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like, for example, like, there's people I listen to that aren't popular, but, you know, they just haven't gotten into that field yet. Um
Mhm. You're also I consider you my music person because you love, like, exploring new artists, and you, like, go in
Yeah.
and you do this, and you have, like, that, like, new music like, you look at New
Mhm.
Music Fridays all the time. So I'm always
Yeah,
like, you just are, like, looking to see
like,
always,
what's out there.
consistently.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I don't even yeah, I can't consider anything. Yeah, because even in regards to, like, new music, like you're saying, none of that, so I'm like, "Oh, if I like this song, oh, man." Like, even for maybe the closest thing that would come, but once again, not feeling guilty about it, um, Jesse McCartney, In Technicolor album, I stand beside it, I think it's fire, but other people would
Yes.
probably be like, "You listen to Jesse McCartney's, like, recent music?" "Yeah, it was good." Not his most recent stuff, but, like, for me, that
Mm.
was recent in, like, college time.
Yeah.
Um
I guess, like, this is falling into, like, the, like, Disney Channel kind of thing or,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the Nickelodeon kind of thing. Some
Mhm.
people would also still be like, "You still listen to that?" Yeah, I still listen to the High School Musical soundtracks, absolutely.
100%. Yeah,
Absolutely. Are there some Victoria songs that I know completely and will still listen to every once in a while? Yeah.
yeah, fire.
Do I have multiple Lemonade Mouth songs memorized? Yes.
To terminate, to
Mhm.
terminate. Yeah. I guess in similar concept, Julie and the Phantoms, but also I don't care.
That
I
is
will
taken.
blast Unsaid Emily, and I don't care. I know.
Netflix.
Netflix, Disney dropped the bag. Everybody dropped the bag because somebody should pick it
Mhm.
up. But
Mhm.
SMH, SMH. In regards to other guilty pleasures, I'm curious. Like, when it comes to like, food, hobbies, experiences. Is there anything that you're like, okay, this is probably one
So, yes, one of my
of them.
biggest loves of my whole life is Disney, and there is that label of a Disney adult,
You know what? I didn't
and
even
I am a
consider
Disney adult.
that.
I am a Disney adult,
Right.
and there are different levels of Disney adults,
Yes, I agree.
and I think that there's a whole lot that goes into the way that people view Disney adults.
And I
I do
realized
not feel
recently.
guilty. I do not feel guilty about my love for it at all, except for the moments where Disney makes horrible, decisions
Yep.
as a company that I'm
Mhm.
like, "Listen, y'all, what are we doing here?" But, like, my love for the things that they put out, my love for, like, the theme parks and everything like that, like, I've
Mhm.
never felt bad about it or been like, I'm ashamed to say it. But I
Yeah.
know when you say Disney adult or the looks that I get sometimes when people are like, "Oh, so you're a Disney adult?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." The
Haters.
looks I've gotten,
They're just haters.
I'm just like, "Leave me alone. I'm fine."
They're just haters, that's all. You have no reason to
Yeah.
hate on anybody just experiencing
Yeah.
their joy. And,
Yeah.
listeners out there, I have a podcast about that I did with Daniel, I think season 2.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like so for me, I don't even which I'm so proud of because there's so many things we talked about today that there was a period of time where I'd been like, "Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
yeah, I like doing that." Like, "Oh, I like romance novels," or "I like, watching rom-coms," or, yeah, Disney adult, etcetera, etcetera. But, like, there's so much that goes into it. Like, for me, I'm a Disney adult, but I think I'm like and I'm gonna ask you this question. I think I'm more like tier 1. If there was 5 tiers, I think I'm tier 1. And, only literally a bigger part of that is access. If I had
Yeah.
the access to Disney, I'd probably be up in there once a week. I
Yeah.
think, just for funsies. Um, uh, you know, there's so much that goes into it, but also, like, pass in regards to past access, I didn't get to go to Disney when I was a kid, I didn't get like, my first time going to Disney was in high school for, like, a high school trip. So, I have time to make up for it, and I can experience it now in my own full totality, and I feel like that's actually when you get to experience it the best because when you're a kid, you don't really get to fully take it in as much, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion on that. But yeah, I think I'm tier 1. If you did tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 being like wildest like collector, you got about like 70 lounge flies up in there. You're collecting all the
Yeah.
ears. Where do you think you lie?
I think I'm 3.
Okay.
I think I'm 3 because there are certain things that I will drop money on,
Mhm,
but there's a whole lot of stuff that I won't drop money on.
mhm.
Or I still have a lot of moments at the parks, especially the parks, where I'm like,
Yeah.
who thought this was a good idea to do this one tiny piece of fabric and make it $100?
Mhm.
No.
Yeah.
But if I had the money,
Mhm.
who knows if it would be like a firm no. I don't think I'd buy it anyways because
Yeah.
I like it takes a lot for me to be like, yes, I can drop this.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, sometimes I'm out here being like, I am going to get this and I don't care that it's this much money because I
Yeah.
need this.
Mhm.
And I don't, but I will be there.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
but I love it too much. Oftentimes when I can't go to sleep, it's a Disney movie that I will put on my TV to help me go to sleep.
Yeah.
Um, I know too many things. I did grow up going to Disney. Those were the trips that our family would save for. We would do the 3-day pass,
Yeah.
and because it was a 3-day pass, we would literally rope drop. It was rope drop. It was
Mhm.
closing. It
Yeah.
was you take advantage of all of it.
Mhm.
Because it was like you knew like it was a trip and it cost money and we're gonna enjoy it
So you take all of
so
it.
that it's
Yeah.
worth it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, and then had a period of, like, not going, and then had the year pass, my last trip with my year pass is
Yeah.
Friday. Um,
Exciting.
it'll be my first solo,
I'm very
but
excited for you.
I think I love it too much, thank you. I'm
Mhm.
hoping it goes well. I'm hoping I enjoy being there by myself.
Yeah.
Um, but, like, I think I enjoy it too much,
Mhm.
and, like, a lot of it is just, like, I love stuff. I love buying stuff. I just sometimes can't justify it, and I can't do collections because also, like,
Mhm.
sometimes I think, "Where am I gonna put this?
Yeah.
Where am I gonna
Yeah.
put this?" I have
Mhm.
2 lounge fly backpacks.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to look. I was like, same. Yeah.
One of them I hardly ever use because it's, like, a
Mhm.
special edition, special collection, and, like, already the straps from, like, the 4 times I've used it are
Yeah.
starting to, like, fade in color, and
Oh.
it's Peter Pan and it's beautiful, and I'm like, "This one might just stay here." The
Yeah.
other one is a whole lot durable, way more durable, and I'm like, "This is the one that I take to the parks." But, like, maybe I have 3. I just bought another one, but I found one at
Ah.
super sale, and it's Star Wars.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's kinda like, sort of. That's another
Mm.
thing, Disney keeps buying all the stuff, like, all of these companies that I adore, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
I was thinking
so
about that the other
let's see
day.
3.
Yeah.
Let's say 3. Maybe entering 4 territory, but I can't ever be a collection person.
Yeah. I would say 3 is fair. I don't think you've hit 4 yet necessarily because, like you said, you're still very, like, not saying Disney adults are not rational, but it's like, you have to consider certain funds, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Out of curiosity, do you see yourself getting the pass again in the future? In the near future, I guess, is more so the question, because in the future could be like 10 years down the line, but
I don't know because 'cause they're already jacking up the prices so much.
yeah.
And the only reason I did it is because I live at home and I don't pay rent
Mhm.
and I don't have a child.
Yeah.
I might invest in it when I have a child, just so I only have to buy one
True.
ticket instead of buying like 'cause that's what I've always thought is like when my parents were buying for the 4 of us. That was like if we went on a peak day, that's $160 times 4.
Mhm.
I'm
It's a
like,
lot.
that's expensive. Plus food, plus all of this.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
that maybe. But I don't know, being here, like you said, if there was
Mhm.
close proximity, I'd be there all the time.
Mhm.
If I had stayed in San Diego, there's a chance that I might have never gotten it. There's a chance that I would have kept it and I'd still be keeping it until I had a kid.
Yeah.
Because then I could just go super quickly. I could go just for Fantasmic. I could go just to
Yeah.
like ride a few rides and come back.
Mhm.
Um, but it's still a trip here in the
Yeah.
valley.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. Yeah, I wish I would have taken more advantage of it when I was in college.
Mhm.
But, like, as you know, I was way more, like, frugal and thoughtful with my money, than
Yeah.
compared to, like, I would say now, but, like, I had the funds, but I just wasn't spending them. But I did remember I had a pass and I took a bus. I took a bus to Disneyland,
Mhm.
and that was, like, a fun experience, and I was like, "I could have been doing that more often." Yeah. So, no, I
Yeah,
get it. It's definitely hard when you're further away because you also have to
yeah.
uh, in this case scenario for me, like, travel,
You
not just
gotta
travel,
take a
but
whole
also the
plane.
stay. Yeah, take a whole plane plus, like, have to live somewhere for at least a few days. So,
Yeah.
that's something to consider. But
Mm.
yeah, no, I feel that.
Do you have anything else for your guilty pleasures?
Hmm. As far as, like, that was a good one. I would say I don't know. Like we said, I've started embracing it so much. Lego, I guess, could kind of be one thing, but I don't feel guilty about it. But there
No.
in a similar concept though, people look at like Lego adults, interestingly, as Disney adults.
Yes.
So
Yes.
because it's funny when I was told people I was like, I got a Twilight Lego set. There was a double whammy right there, and so a lot of people are like, so what do you do with it afterwards? It's like it sits beautifully on my shelf.
Yeah, I was like, I'm staring at it right now over my
Seriously,
computer, and it brings me so much joy just
R-
to look at the
right?
little truck. I'm like,
Seriously.
"Look at it."
Like, it's just so pretty. Yeah,
Oh, so cute.
but I don't feel guilty about it, but I guess the guilty part could be that it has gotten to be an expensive hobby,
Yes, that
so
is
that
the
is the
drawback.
one thing. That is because when I bought that Milky Way galaxy, I was like, "Oh, no, I'm gonna have to tell people." So, that was really the thing. Um, that's where the guilt comes in because I'm like,
Yeah,
"It's my
I agree.
shinies," but, yeah.
I agree, I think with Lego, that's what it's especially,
Mhm.
like you said, like, when you're a person who this is the issue, it's like, with so many things in my life, I'm like, "I'm not spending that." Like, you want me to drop more than $50 on a pair of jeans? No.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
'Cause I can find that on sale for way cheaper, and I'm not buying things for full price.
Yeah.
Like, I will buy good jeans, but not at full price ever. Like, things
Mhm.
like that. Like, there are certain price points for certain kinds of foods too, where I'm like, "No, I know I can get this for way better." Like,
Yeah. Those have gotten way expensive, by the way. Random note. That's
tacos and
ridiculous.
burritos. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
"No, I don't wanna spend this much for this little."
Mhm. Yeah.
I was like, "I know I can get better."
Mhm.
Um, but then the Legos, when my mom asked me how much I spent on the Twilight house, I was like, "Don't
Woo.
ask me that, you're gonna get mad at me." And she
Yeah.
was like, "No, tell me, I promise, it's your money, you're an adult." And I was like
Hey.
she goes, "Is it more than 200?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
that." She was like, "Okay."
Hey, look at mom growth right there.
No, because then she told everybody else, "Yeah, this was she get ask her how much she spent on this." And I was like,
Oh, so she was calm with you and she was like, "Bet."
"Yeah,
Internalized, telling everyone.
yeah." But also she sees how much joy it brings me, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
Mhm.
Her thing mostly is, "Where is this gonna go?"
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
always the big question. But, like,
Mhm.
I get you when I'm just
Mhm.
kinda like, I know it's not the
Yeah.
most responsible thing in the world, but also I'm so responsible in so many other aspects.
Right? Right? Because I was like, "I'm spending it, but I promise you I have bills paid, things are like, I'm good.
Yeah, I was like,
Yes,
"There's
that
a
could be
budget."
money for later, but, you know."
Yeah, I was like, "There's a budget." Like, right now, my
Mhm.
budget for this month, I know I have that Disney trip, so I was like, "Listen, I know who I am. I know
Yeah.
how I am."
Mhm.
Same, I went to the Toontown Market last weekend, and I was like, "Ideally, I will not spend more than $60,
Mhm.
but my absolute max is 100 because I
Yeah.
know who I
I
am."
was just about to say $60 is actually you might wanna yeah.
You wanna know? I made it. I didn't
Hey.
spend more than I think I spent 61,
Hey. That was good.
but I
Yeah.
gave myself a high ceiling so then I could
Mhm.
also feel more accomplished, but at one
Yeah.
point, I was crunching numbers and I was like, "Listen, can I get this thing and this thing?"
It's the fact that you
But
crunch the numbers, that shows responsibility. Because sometimes
exactly.
it's
See?
like, "You know what? I can afford that. I'm just gonna grab it," versus,
But
"Let
I'm
me
going to
actually."
Disney. I had people with me. I'm going to Disneyland for the first
Uh,
time by myself,
what's your
and I
budget?
don't
I know you're
with food
considering the ring thing.
with see, that's the thing. If the ring happens, that's a
Mhm.
different question. But with
Mhm.
food, I'm giving myself 150
Okay.
because I have now, unfortunately, been drawn into the pins.
That is a dangerous game. There I'm so sorry. That's bad, and I say that as a Lego person. It is so bad because if I let myself get into it, I would be a pin person as well. I have the up one. It's so
I know.
freaking pretty. And then, I have the stitch
Mhm.
one
I
that
like the
specifically says
mystery
2023 on it.
I like the mystery boxes, and that's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
There's joy, and then you can
Mhm.
trade. So then it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, that's fine. I can buy this one, and if it's not what I want, I can just trade it." So now I have to buy a bag for all my pins that I'm eventually gonna have to trade. So
You
then
might
there's
be
that.
tier 4. The minute you get into pin trading,
That's why I'm
yeah.
saying, I'm transitioning, but also I
Mhm.
think it's ridiculous to drop $40 on a bag of pins, and I
Yeah.
refuse. I will
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I will not.
They are
That's why I
tempting
give
though, I
myself
see.
restrictions. I
Yeah.
can only buy box lunch pins because I don't go into box lunch that often. Maybe once
Mm.
a month at
Yeah.
most.
So, but
Um,
are you planning on buying pins in Disney this Friday? So what is your
yes,
limit there?
that's why the price is 150 because
But with
I would like
food
to buy the bag. Oh, but I get the cheap stuff for the food because I found what I like
oh,
and I bring snackies.
okay, bet. Okay. So okay, the
Mhm.
budget is budgeting.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
valid. 100%.
Yeah, and I know that you get almost all of your, Legos. You figure out something. You finesse the system.
Oh, I girl math so hard.
You really do. It's impressive. Like,
Yeah.
when you went to Costco that one time and you were like, "Guess what?" And I was like, "No, I already
Yeah.
know what." But you got the
Mhm.
thing for, like, 50% off.
Yeah. Listen, I'm telling you, a lot of the Legos I have, well, I have a lot of Legos that I'm looking around. They were
Yes, you
either
do.
on sale. I use
Yes.
them from a gift, like a
Yeah.
gift card, or like if they were a gift or something like that. Um, like all my big Lego sets, the only big Lego set I bought in totality, no Christmas or money or how I had the job reward, none of that stuff. Retro radio I bought in totality, and now the Milky Way galaxy. All the other big Lego sets, the Twilight set, I consider that money I put into, you know, that I saved that money from
Christmas,
Christmas and
birthdays, things like that, yeah.
exactly. And then the Disney villain set, that was because I had got the teacher award, so then I put that to Disney the Disney villain set. That was when
Yeah.
I first girl math, and that was should have been my warning, to be honest. Um, but I wanted it, so I was like, "Imma treat myself," versus I don't know, when it comes to, like, things like that, because 'cause I'll talk to you about something after this. I I know. I forgot to tell you yesterday, but Nicole knows. Um It's like, if I want it, I just want it. So, like, at this point in my life, it's like, yes, I could be an adult and decide to put things into savings and things like that. But especially with the way 2025 is, the way just adulting has been so hard for us in general, I'm just like, if I want something, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna make sure I ration, like, and it makes sense. But,
Yep.
you know, as long as I'm not near homelessness or dying or something like that.
Yep.
But yes, I could be better at saving my funds. So maybe that's also a guilty pleasure. I'm terrible at saving. Because I
Yes.
spend things. But yeah, that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, the wrap up is, do we really feel guilty? The answer is not 100%. Maybe something.
Yeah, I was like, "Only one thing.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
one, I'm working on it."
Yeah. And it's a work in progress. One is based off like social exceptions, our
Yeah.
personal concepts and ideas on the things. And so it's okay. It's okay to have your guilty pleasures. It's okay to be, guilty about them. It's a process. But also don't feel guilty because it's something you enjoy. It's something you love.
Mhm.
I will give a side note to food for a second. I have no food guilty pleasures. I like
No,
cake,
food
and
is
YOLO.
wonderful. Food is always wonderful.
Yes, yeah. The only thing now I'm just working on is just like, hey, it's okay to like sweets, but like
Mhm.
consider how many sweets you're eating. So that's all. But yeah, listeners, let us know what are your guilty pleasures, whether it's lifestyle, food, recreational books, TV shows, movies, etc. And make sure you share like what was your process with that? What does it look like now? What did it look like before? Very curious. Make sure you go ahead and follow me at the Introvert Social Hour on TikTok and YouTube at Kavana on Instagram, and make sure you're following where you're listening to this podcast to stay updated on new updates. And make sure you check out Sabrina in the description of this episode. Make sure you have a wonderful day, get some sunshine, get some air, have an amazing week. And I will see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Bye.